Christian, is this, is that we live in a land of abundance. And I think that can actually be an enemy to asking God to do amazing things. Because reality is this, we really don't need God to show up in amazing ways very often because we're doing pretty good ourselves, aren't we? There's a verse that's really powerful to me that comes from Deuteronomy. And it says this, Deuteronomy 6. When the Lord your God brings you into the land he swore to your fathers, to Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and to give you the land, the large flourishing cities you did not build, houses filled with all kinds of good things you did not provide, wells you did not dig, and vineyards and olive groves you did not plant. Then when you eat and are satisfied, be careful that you do not forget that the Lord your God brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. Is anybody guilty here of living in a house that you did not build? Is anybody guilty here of going to a store and picking up food that you did not harvest, you did not do the work for? Okay? When we get done here, pretty much the majority of us, especially probably the teens, hopefully the teens, you're supposed to get sack lunch. We're going to get food that we didn't work for. It's going to be given to us. We're going to go to a restaurant and sit down and have somebody bring the food to us. We live in a land of abundance. We live in a land where there isn't want. If we get hungry, we don't have to go home and even make the food. We can call the pizza guy. Let him make it and bring it to me. You know? And then I don't want to go outside because they'll come to my door. It's going to get so bad some days, it's like, come inside and feed me, you know? I'll be upstairs in the tub or something like that. Recently, we had a group of our people from our church in Colorado that went to Haiti. And one thing that stuck out to them while they were in Haiti is, first of all, the joy of all the kids that they were around. If you guys ever done mission work to other countries, you've realized that these people have nothing compared to us. It doesn't matter if you're middle class or lower middle class, or even if you're the poverty line in America. You are still part of the wealthiest generation that has ever existed on the face of this earth. And that should be a good thing. And God wants for it to be a good thing. But I think it becomes a curse to us, and it becomes a boundary between us asking God to do amazing things. But when they were in Haiti, they were just blown away with how happy all these children were, how happy these people who had nothing were. Something else they came back and they reported to our church is they said, we were kind of upset when we went to their worship service because their worship service lasted 2 hours, and it was the most amazing 2 hours of worship and celebration we had ever been a part of, and it only lasted 2 hours. They usually worship for about 3 to 4 hours, but they had to cut it short. I don't know about you guys, but at my church, if we're not done at 11:30, there's going to be a meeting. It is sad, isn't it? But man, I think one of the enemies to amazingness is that we live in a world that is so full of abundance. And I'm not sure that we really feel like we need God to provide for us. It really makes me think of Matthew 5 in the first sermon where Jesus talked about, blessed are people who are spiritually hungry. Blessed are people who mourn. Those are the ones who realize just how desperately they need God. Another enemy that was touched upon that by Darrell, who did a great job this morning, is time. Is that we are busy, busy people. We've got way too many things going on. If you guys can't start that video up there for me. They did stats a while back. This is actually an old video with old stats. But they did research, and they said the typical American is going to live usually around 75, 77 years or so. And so they started doing the math and all that. And so they said that typically most of us are going to live for about 40 million minutes. So what will you do with that 40 million minutes? How are you going to spend it? Well, most of us are going to spend it just doing everyday kind of mundane things. Things like, video, catch it for my thoughts, please. I'm not patient. I don't have time for this. Let's go. The average person spends 40 minutes each day on the telephone. This is before cell phones. Kids, back in the day when you were on the phone, it was actually attached to the wall. Okay? This was before text messaging. This is before cell phones and all that kind of incredible stuff. And it's amazing how many years we spend. The average person in America spends 1 hour a day in the bathroom. That's the only place I can go to get away from everybody. I have a funny story about, anyways. The average American is going to end up spending 3 years of their life in the bathroom. How about just getting ready this morning? Getting dressed. Guys aren't quite as guilty as girls, but ladies, come on. My wife will put on an outfit. She looks wonderful. She goes, no, that's not it. And she goes on and puts another one. The average American in America is going to end up spending 7 days per year, and in a lifetime of 1 year of their life getting dressed. I don't think third world countries have that problem. The average person in America, this stat was done with, talking about television, this is before YouTube, this is before TiVo, this is before Netflix, okay? The average American in America is going to end up spending 45 days a year and all the other 9 years of their life watching TV. Huh. It sounds like we have lots of time, but what do we fill our time with? Now, I know we've got to have jobs, we've got to go to school. Sorry, kids, I can't get you out of that one. I'd like to. The reality is this, is that all of us here that gather this morning, we say we love God, we give our lives for God. He's the most important thing in our life. He saved us. He's the reason that we're still alive. The average American Christian only spends somewhere around 6 hours per month. Add that up to about 3 days per year, and in a lifetime, 7 months in a lifetime. God, one-on-one time. How do we spend our time? Because I've got a saying that I try to wear my teens out with in my youth group, but it's this: if Satan can't make you bad, he's okay with that. He will just make you busy. He will fill your schedule with so many good things, with sports and after-school things and jobs and a boyfriend and a girlfriend and entertainment and all sorts of good things. There's nothing wrong with those things. There's nothing wrong with, like what Darrell was saying, there's nothing wrong with having the field or the oxen or getting married. For the most part, there's nothing wrong with that stuff. But if you're not careful, Satan will fill your life up so busy with just good things you don't have time for him. And the teens, I want to really encourage you guys to be careful, because you guys are living in a generation where another one of the enemies that you're going to deal with more than other generations that are dealt with is this: distraction. You guys are the most technologically advanced society that has ever lived. Okay? If you guys want to hear a song, you don't have to do like we used to do and sit down on the radio and flip stations and listen for it. You just pull it up on your cell phone. If you want to watch a movie, you don't have to wait for the movie to come out and the movie on DVD. You just go in and you download it off the internet. You guys live in a world that is instant gratification right away. And if you're not careful, it can be a huge distraction. Let's watch this commercial about a cell phone company.
To save us from our phones. New Windows Phone, designed to get you in and out and back to life.
Now, what's ironic to me about that commercial is it's a cell phone commercial. But you see, if you aren't careful, you can end up being so distracted. That's the story that Jarrell just shared earlier from Luke chapter 14, if I get that to come up, where it says this: Jesus replied, a certain man was preparing a great banquet and invited many guests. At the time of the banquet, he sent out his servants to tell those who had been invited, "Come, for everything now is ready." But they all alike began to make excuses. And they go through and they begin to say, I can't because of this thing. I can't because of this good thing. I can't because I just got married. Because we know how wives hate to get dressed up and go to banquets. We know how they hate that, right? They don't have to make dinner and go get a free meal. We know how much they hate that. You guys, teens, I want to warn you. I know it may sound something kind of silly, but I'm telling you, something that will suck away the joy of God's amazingness is just the fact that you are too distracted with other things. And that we've got to be people who learn to slow down and start looking for where God is.